Uganda is experiencing significant impacts of climate change that has brought about changing weather patterns and dropping of water levels in several water bodies. This is characterized with floods, landslides, and prolonged drought which have threatened people's livelihood. According to the Notre Global Adaptation Initiative 2021, Uganda ranks as the 13th most vulnerable country in the world to climate change and 160th out of 192 nations in readiness to confront the threat. However, as part of the interventions to address the climate change menace, the government of Uganda has integrated climate change mitigation measures in its Vision 2040 and 5-year National Development Plan to be spearheaded by the Ministry of Water and Environment, with much emphasis on building climate resilience that will require concerted efforts from all stakeholders.
That's not about KCC. We need to work with the NEMA. We need to work with the Ministry of Lands and Physics who give the land titles. We need to work with the enforcement, okay? The judicial system. If a case has been taken to court, I mean the judicial system should also come into support where we want to demolish someone who has, for example, encroached on a wetland.
In the past, that these institutions have been doing things on their own, independently, everybody doing their own things in their own enclave. Now, the mode of implementation now is to bring all stakeholders together and put the synergies together.
David Okrut, Commissioner Wetland Management, says there is indiscriminate encroachment for expansion of human settlements in urban areas, while in the rural areas there is steady conversion of wetlands for agriculture use.
That as we move towards the phase of development, we need to do development which is climate resilient in terms of climate change. The infrastructure must be resilient. The farming systems must be climate smart.
Wetlands play vital ecological and socio-economic functions such as flood mitigation, water purification, erosion prevention, moderation of extreme flows of water, and maintenance of water tables in surrounding lands. Despite the myriad benefits they provide, wetlands are among the ecosystems with the highest rates of decline, loss, and degradation. In the context of Kampala, wetlands are disappearing 3 times faster than forests and are the Earth's most threatened ecosystem.
Once you degrade them, you expose the carbon which they keep, which they sequester. It is exposed into the atmosphere, and this carbon constitutes part of the greenhouse gases.
According to the Uganda Wetlands Atlas Volume 2 developed by government, the national area of wetlands declined by 30% between 1994 and 2008. Now the report by the Ministry of Water and Environment reveals that Uganda will be left with only 1.6% of wetlands cover by 2014 if the destruction trend is not reversed by the deliberate and dedicated restoration programs countrywide.
We have been able to increase our wetland cover by 0.9. When we last did the wetland assessment in the country in 1994, the wetland cover was standing at 15.6%. And by 2015, it had declined to 13%.
If we continue at this rate, then at one time we will find the whole of Kampala being, in wetlands, and then it will be degraded and people will lose their lives. Many people have lost their lives already.
Frank Muramuzi, the Executive Director, National Association of Professional Environmentalists, says if Ugandans don't reduce the pace at which wetlands are degraded, Uganda is likely to remain with no water, hence precipitating climate change.
In Kampala, we shall not be getting piped water because the lake will recede, and then the pipes will not be getting enough water from the lake.
We risk destruction of all these infrastructures, the roads. You have already seen it already here. In Rubiji, in Kinawataka here, in Chambogo, Wise areas, places are flooding.
At the moment, the country is held between a hard rock and soft surface, with no countermeasure for the different weather patterns. This means the country will be receiving heavy unexpected rains or drought.
You have drastic rains which are destructive, and they come when you don't expect them, when you don't expect the rains. 2, you have dry spells because the rain, the water has gone.
Muramuzi reiterates that the country is at a point of no return. The only option left on table is to utilize the little mechanisms available.
So we are almost at the top. So that's why I say now all we need is to have just a listening ear from the head of state, because I think these other institutions are not empowered.
We see a positive trend in terms of recovery. We believe that in the next 10 years, we should have gone back to around 15-point-something% of the wetland cover.
Now government has embarked on a campaign, Guarantee Wetland Restoration for Sustainability.
We have embarked on a comprehensive awareness creation countrywide to ensure that we explain to the population the value of these wetlands, do the demarcation of the degraded wetlands, and we allow them to restore, to come back nearly to their former status.
The strategic plan on conservation of the environment also accommodates people who voluntarily have preferred leaving wetlands for a good cause.
Providing alternative livelihoods to wetland-dependent communities. This is what we are doing, and it's happening in the countryside, where people who have voluntarily left working in wetlands, we sensitize them and say, no, you see, when you do this kind of activity, you destroy the ecosystem.
However, those that have decided to live besides wetlands have different views on how government and other stakeholders should have handled climate change.
All the cities have wetlands, but there is a way infrastructures are managed. Government should have copied other developed countries to organize the city, because Kampala had no clear plans from the start.
Despite their property being destroyed by floods, residents in Luigi wetland have called on KCCA to unblock drainage channels to allow proper flow of water.
We are appealing to the government, if anything possible, you can come and at least drill the drainage.
Let local council leaders and other stakeholders unite and unblock these drainage channels.
In response, Maurice Kairania, the Deputy Director Roads and Drainage in KCCA, says KCCA has embarked on sensitizing those living near wetlands on the dangers of dumping garbage in the drainage channels.
And even you and me, you should stop dumping plastics and waste, solid waste anyhow. Sort your waste at source so that you minimize the quantity of waste which ends up in the channel.
Now, experts on climate change and environmental impact assessment have advised that KCCA development plans should be climate-friendly and smart.
I think that those areas that have been gazetted and the mitigation measures studied and action is done, we need to strictly follow whether the developers are following the mitigation measures stated in their areas.
The World Bank estimates that some 200,000 Ugandans have been affected with weather-related disasters over the past 2 decades. The report does not exclude the capital Kampala among the disaster-prone areas that are often hit with floods, landslides, mudslides and drought. Shaidat Nasaku, UBC News.